Welcome back. More Vintage Super League. I'm still Randy Bueller. I'm now joined by Chris Pakula. You got to be feeling pretty good right now, Chris.
Yeah. I was just telling Luis the match kind of went the way I expected. His deck, it's really obvious that his deck's just bad against True Name Nemesis. It's very difficult for him to win quickly unless he gets like one of the first turn Young Pyromancer draws. My hand was so good game 3 that I played the Cavern before the Lotus, and I was like, well, of course Luis is going to force a Will Black Lotus. Like against a lesser player, that might not work, but I just might
get away with against a lesser player. But if you bleed Black Lotus first, Luis is not going to force it. Then the Cavern comes out, and now you get True Name on the first turn.
Right? Yeah. Although I think the Merfolk deck actually has a lot of opening draws where you should just force a Will the Lotus anyway.
You're probably right.
Because and I knew that it was possible that I could get, mana. Like I will say a big thing that I've realized in this season of Vintage Super League, and you saw it game 2 there, and you saw it in Rich's match against David also, the downside of playing Strip Mine in your deck is so low. Like, just play the Strip Mine, play a Wasteland maybe, like fit in as many. Like, I think that just like Strip Mine and Wasteland are just better than off-color Moxes by a lot right now. Unless you're playing like, Belcher and you can't do it. But at least the fact that Luis had Strip Mine in his deck and just made a huge difference. I thought he might go for that because obviously my deck is using Wastelands against him as well, although there'll be a lot of draws where him playing land every turn may not work because I'm attacking. But yeah, you just happen to draw the Strip Mine with your Crucible. And it's funny that I did a weird play there where I chaliced him when he was going to be able to double Strip Mine me. But for some reason, I really felt like he already, I don't know, something about the game, maybe I'm just crazy. It felt like he already had the answer to my next creature in his hand. And I just wanted to make it possible so that he couldn't preordain and get to whatever he needed. And maybe I could draw Black Lotus before he drew something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Chalice is not quite as good against him with the whole Punishing Fire setup as it is against most Delver decks.
Right.
It's still decent. I mean, it was great in the first game, but in the second game, it's just more or less.
Yeah, after sideboarding, it's really tricky, like, especially when you're on the draw and you don't have the 1-drop, like whether or not you drop the Chalice on turn 2 or not is tricky.
Yep.
And then a question of, like, is he going to bring in Artifact Kill? Like, he might have brought in, I don't know if he brought in any.
Yeah, we saw Ancient Grudge in his hand.
Right. I mean, I fear he brings in some. I was wondering whether or not I should board out Force of Wills, whether or not Flusterstorm's good in the matchup. It's not that clear.
Yeah. I like Flusterstorm better than Force of Will, probably.
Yeah, it's just a question of when do I have time to Flusterstorm? Because like I don't have a lot of. There's not gonna be a lot of counter wars started where I have mana untapped.
True. I just point him. You can point him at any random like preordain or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I think that helps the mana denial plan. But anyway, hats off to you, sir. You've now clinched top 4. No tiebreaker needed. Worst case scenario, you're tied for second at the end of the week. And if Bob can knock off Ifro, you'll be tied for first.
That's pretty exciting, yeah.
I hope to join you in that tie. We'll see how I match with Tom.
Based on Vintage Super League history, I'm not feeling great about the if Bob knocks out Ifro plan, but
tough but fair. Meanwhile, Kai Budde versus Steve Menendian. So Steve's on 3 and 4. He finally got a win last week, halting his 4-game losing streak. He is still live for playoffs. He could still defend his title, but he has to win out. And at this point, he needs me to lose out. Kai, meanwhile, has just been tied at 2 wins by David Williams, so he really wants to get that match ahead of the bottom.
Yeah,
big match for both these guys.
Yeah, that's a pretty big match for these guys. For sure that Steve wants to be back. Like you've been talking about the league and being the haves and the have-nots. And Steve wants to get back to the haves. Steve just not... if you go 4 and 5 at this level of competition, I mean, you can go 2 and 7 at this level of competition and fine. I mean, it happens to very good players every season in VSL. Yes. But Steve, he wants to get to 5 and 4 pretty badly, I'm quite sure. And Kai doesn't, Kai doesn't want to end season 1 being the guy who,
only
barely
played
squeaked
one
in
season.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. He doesn't want to be only played one season.
And I like Kai's deck. I know you and I both enjoyed this in the first set of games. And
Yeah.
I actually think Kai made a nice improvement to this blue Belcher list. I like the addition of Spirit Guides a lot. You see 2 Simian Spirit Guides in the main deck, 3rd Simian Spirit Guide in the sideboard. I actually tried those out at a local vintage Friday Night Magic on Friday, and they were great.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that we had talked about them.
Maybe you suggested it and it didn't stick in my head, but I'm all in. I love the Spirit Guides now.
Yeah.
I actually ran Elvish Spirit Guides because I didn't own any Simian Spirit Guides, but I still have like Alliances cards from a million years ago.
Right.
They're functionally identical.
Yeah.
The even crazier thought, though, is Simian Spirit Guide. Is that enough red mana to play Wheel of Fortune?
Oh, wow.
I know you love playing the random off-color like Balance or whatever.
Oh, if there was a white Spirit Guide, I would be playing Balance in the deck for sure. But all right, so what do we got here?
Steve's on the play. Looks like he mulliganed once. He's got Ancestral. He's got a Mentor and a Pyromancer. This is Steve's innovation. He's the only guy still on Mentors this set, and his trick was to also play a couple of Pyromancers.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to go for main phase Ancestral.
So does Steve have a misdirection, or do I just have that taped to my screen so it always looks like he has one?
No, he has, in fact, drawn.
Okay.
Good grief, Kai's hand.
Yeah,
he's got the Natural Academy and the Black Lotus.
But he's
got no business.
Yeah, but he's got it,
He's got all the mana in the world, and he just has to draw he has to draw a card drawing card.
Yeah. This is the Mind's Desire hand that.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't play a Mind's Desire. I
know. We don't. I mean, I didn't play it either.
Simian Spirit Guide for Expedition Map. He's doing his best to bait out mental missteps before Steve knows that he's got an Academy. And yeah, so do you keep Kai's draw?
Yes.
Expedition Map.
Well, I do think
Lotus.
I think my list maybe had one more business spell than Kai. I have to look at his list, but
yeah, he's from where we were. He's got the 2 Spirit Guides. He's also got an extra Grim Monolith. Because of Spirit Guides, Grim Monolith gets better. You can run 3 Grim Monoliths, which is what he does.
I feel like they're competing for the same slot.
Sort of. But I mean, it means that he can play, it's just easier for him to play a bunch of colorless mana. Actually, I think
for sure. But I do
Jar a lot better in his deck.
I'm going to pull up his list here.
2 Tezzerets.
Yeah, I think the problem is does he have a memory jar?
No, I don't think he does.
So with only 2 diminishing returns and no memory jar and no Mind Desire, I think he's 2 threats short of what we had.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So that does make his keep looser.
Agreed. Yeah, no first draw phase did not give him any business, so turn passes back to Steve, who goes for a Brainstorm. Yeah, he's like, Swords to Plowshares, get back in the deck. Other Swords to Plowshares, get back in the deck.
Yeah, I wonder if Steve thinks this is one of those matchups where he can just play the long game and counter everything they try to do.
I don't know. I mean, that's not really what his draw wants to do, I don't think.
Right, but I'm wondering if he's going to try to turn it into that draw.
Yeah, he chose to Brainstorm fetch land there rather than play a Young Pyromancer.
Right, and that's what I'm wondering. Is he trying to sculpt it into the... Oh, he's going to play Dak. With Dak is... If he takes Black Lotus with Dak, that's going to cost...
It's okay.
So, well, it makes it... It's hard to kill him in one turn then, right?
Kai's still got an Academy that taps for 5 and an Opal, so I guess he's down to 6 mana. Kai would be 1 short of Belcher activated.
Right, and then you have Force of Will. So it's...
Yeah, Kai is on hard cast Force of Will here. That's the other one. That's the other good thing that Kai's draw had going for it. He was able to have up Force of Will on the very first turn. Just as a hard cast.
And this is the exact thing, by the way, that I think people understand the least about the Belcher deck. And that this only works against decks that don't have Strip Mines and Wastelands. You can actually play a long game if you can just get your Academy out there and just let it sit and hard cast Force of Will, cast Pact of Negation, and pay on your upkeep. Like it's not that hard to just stall until you draw one of your Haymakers with counterspells. But you can't just sit it out there against a deck with Wasteland because once it goes to the yard, things look a lot more grim. Although with Black Lotus in play, it's not as bad.
No, it's a good point. The Belcher deck is better at playing, pretending to be a control deck for half a dozen turns than it looks. And it's usually because, yeah, you have Academy. You're paying the upkeep on Pact of Negation, or you're hard casting Force of Will. Do you counter Dak if you're Kai?
I think so. Because, I mean, yeah, you have to, right? I mean, you don't want Steve tossing useless cards. You don't really want to lose your Black Lotus. You have not. Yeah, I think you have to.
Looks like Kai agrees with you.
I mean, if you let him cast Dak and he takes your Lotus, you no longer can draw something particularly good and cast Force of Will on your turn anyway.
All right, Steve is going to pitch a Treasure Cruise so that he can counter the Force of Will. Uses Misdirection instead of Force of Will. It doesn't matter much in this spot, but leaves him a Force of Will for later. And Dak resolves.
I guess it's correct to pitch Treasure Cruise, but it hurts.
Yeah, it does hurt.
And he doesn't take the Lotus because he's fishing for a blue card.
He also knows Kai has actual 0 cards in his hand. Yeah, and he finds the blue card for Force of Will.
Right. This is a spot where having the Candelabra in your deck makes a lot more threatening too. Like if he takes the Lotus.
Oh my goodness. Time Vault. Off the top Vault key combo, but Menendian found the blue card to go with his Force of Will.
So now he just would have lost if he took the Lotus.
Yeah. Yeah. If Dak had stolen an artifact, the game would be over and Kai would be headed.
He could have taken the key, I guess.
Yeah, he could have taken the key, sure.
But then you lose to a lot of things.
All true. Crazy. So Steve loses his dig through time, though, which is pretty big. Now his hand is creature, creature, creature with no spells to trigger them. Does Menendian plus here, or does he just start running out Mentors? I mean, I guess you're supposed to plus no matter what, but...
I mean, you have to cast a Mentor, I think, unless... I mean, you don't have to do it first, but you have to cast a creature. So...
He can also steal Black Lotus. Like, he can go Mentor, steal Black Lotus.
Mentor?
Well, he won't get the Lotus.
Kai right. Get the Lotus. Right,
that would be exciting if you could actually get the Black Lotus.
Yeah. Given Kai's deck, diminishing returns could still be really bad for you because he could draw Candelabra, but you're going to have... If you take the Lotus, Belcher doesn't kill you, although it's extremely likely to just kill you the next turn.
Right. Well, you can steal it later.
Oh,
Dak
right.
on 4.
Because Dak's on 4, so you can double steal.
Yeah, right now Belcher's a lethal top deck for Kai. Without the Lotus, it's 1 mana short.
I think you have to take the Lotus. Because you're not guaranteed to get a counter... I mean, you only look at 2 cards, right?
Wait, Kai has 7 mana now. Right? Belcher is a lethal top deck.
He would have, if you don't have the Lotus, he would have...
5, 6, 7, right?
Oh, because the... no, the Academy makes 4, and then the Ruby and the Opal make 2, right?
Why the Academy taps for 5 without?
Well, he won't have the Lotus. Oh, it's 5. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
All right. Well, Steve went up with Dak, kept a Mox Sapphire and a Misdirection instead of the Pyromancer and the second Mentor. Sapphire lets him make a token. I totally get the Sapphire. I'm a little surprised by Misdirection over
another creature,
second Mentor and Pyromancer. I mean, this is the way Steve plays the deck. He's had a lot of success with it historically, just not as much success this season. Kai top decks a Preordain. Here we go. Can Kai find a threat? Mox Pearl is not that threat. Goblin Charbelcher is.
That's it, right?
Ball game. Goblin Charbelcher from Kai Budde. Preordain into Charbelcher. Menendian can't do anything, and Kai's got all the mana he needs to activate it on the spot. There are no lands in his deck other than the Academy. Bang!
So if he had taken the Lotus, Kai would have been 1 mana short. That's pretty funny.
Huh.
Because he had to preordain.
Because he had to preordain. He would have been 1 mana short. Hilarious. Wow. So Kai's up a game. How about that blue Belcher deck, huh?
Yeah, it's a sweet deck. I love it in these matchups.
Yeah, I do too. I absolutely do too. It feels like the Delver deck takes so long to kill you with Delver Mentor.
People just don't kill you that quickly. You get so many top decks when, yeah.
Yeah, so he kept 1,000,000 mana, like Natural Academy with the Black Lotus.
Which you have to keep. Even with his version, I think you have to keep it, but it's not
On
as
the
good.
draw, I agree with you. Like, I actually think I would mulligan that on the play.
With his deck and your deck and your version?
With my deck, I definitely would. With his deck, well, I guess with my deck, it's easier to keep it. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
I think so too. I don't think I would mulligan that with my version of deck. I have enough threats where I don't think you can mulligan it. Like most of my losses with that deck are hands where I just never, well, unless I play against like shops, they're just hands where I never do anything.
No, that's fair. You do. I guess you do have Force of Will up on the first turn. That's the part I'm not giving him enough credit for. The fact that you just dump enough artifacts on the first turn to already have Force of Will is pretty nice.
So Kai's going to board in the mental missteps here, probably.
I would think so.
Maybe one defense grid. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you want a defense grid. The second one maybe is a little sketchy, but especially the way Steve plays, just being able to sort of mess with the math of countering things.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be able to rely on your draw 7 to draw cards, but like doing a draw 7 and just, you know, Twister or diminishing them into a handful of Force of Wills just feels pretty bad.
Right. So Kai takes out the Windfall, which is always pretty easy.
Because he's on the draw, right?
Yeah.
It's not much else that's bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Third Grim Monolith is a necessary card.
I actually don't love Force of Will in this matchup.
No, I don't love I think Forcible and Pact are both not that amazing. I mean, I think Mental Misstep's probably better than both.
Yeah, you definitely want the missteps. Especially your opponent's bringing in Pyroblast, right?
Yeah. But you also just like misstepping their misstep when they misstep your key, or not your key, or your
Ancestral, Preordain, whatever.
Whatever the land thing is.
Expedition map. Yeah, you got to defend the expedition map for sure. Yeah, I actually had missteps in my main deck when we played it in the first set for exactly that reason.
No, I think, yeah, right. I didn't. I kind of wish I had now. I'm really not. That's one of the things I'm least sure on the deck is the mix of Force of Will, Pact of Negation, misstep.
Yeah, agreed.
What does Steve have to board in here? Stony Silence. So
Oh, geez.
That's totally legitimate. Shattering Spree is actually pretty nasty too.
Sure.
Wow, he has
Wear Tear.
a lot.
He has a lot of artifact destruction.
I don't think I'd bring in Wear Tear.
No, I don't think I would bring in that or Ingot Chewer either. See, the Stony Silence is insane. The Pyroblast is obviously very good. He does have Ingot Chewer. I mean, some number of Ingot Chewers can be good because often the Belcher deck will say Char Belcher go, and then you get to kill it with a sorcery speed artifact removal. Wow, Kai has the Windfall in his list still on the draw, and he's got Black Lotus into either it or Time Twister.
So he's gonna. Yeah, is he gonna go for the? What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go for the Pact? It's risky.
Yeah, it is. You don't know that you might not win the game on their first turn. You might not find the Academy to pay for it. First, he's going to see what Steve does. Steve has Lotus Petal as his only mana in an Ancestral Recall hand.
You and Steve and these Lotus Petals in fair decks. It's.
I took it out this time with Merfolk.
Yeah. I mean, I get why you played in Merfolk. Merfolk can run out of cards you want to play.
Right. Merfolk, you're just like, it's all, the Mox Sapphire draw is so insane. It just lets you feel like you have a Mox Sapphire draw for at least a turn.
Steve cannot keep this hand.
I don't think so. I mean, if Kai has even a misstep, he's just destroyed. Kai can keep his hand, though.
Wow, he kept that. Oh,
Wow. Yeah, Petal for Ancestral. He's going to get away with it.
Yeah, I wonder if he just forgot that Kai also has missteps. Like he's just not thinking of Kai as a misstep deck.
Interesting. Maybe. Well, he got away with it. He even found a Tundra.
Yeah, like finding 2 lands Force
of Will.
2 lands Force of Will. Must be nice.
Could not have scripted it any better.
Yeah.
Crazy. And Ancestral actually makes Kai's Windfall a little better.
That's true. Yeah, I guess Kai has to Windfall rather than Time Twister in this spot. Although
the order's way better, right? I mean, if your Windfall gets countered, then you still have the Twister.
Yeah, you want to have Black Lotus anyway.
Well, look, you have to pick an order. Like, you want to Windfall or do you want to Twist?
Yeah.
Like you have to think what happens if it gets countered. Right, the Time Twister's value doesn't go down. The Windfall's value does. I don't mean, it depends how many cards Steve has, but it looks like Steve's going to have 7.
Yeah, I'm looking at Steve's deck list right now, and I didn't notice the Lotus Petal first time I went through, but I see it.
It is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Lotus Petal on his deck list.
I think, yeah, there's a slight pause in the action here because I think Kai realized he was looking at an old version of Steve's deck list.
Oh, we looked at last sets.
Right. Some people may not realize this, but we obviously after the first week of every set of games, people are usually looking at the deck list as they play. So
Steve's going to crack this fetch land. He's going to find a land. He's got what, a preordain?
yeah, he has a preordain.
Yeah, Kai has just realized he was working off of an older deck list. So I think he's just catching up. Seeing how much more artifact removal Steve has in his sideboard.
Yeah,
He had last
guy, he did win game 1.
Yeah.
It's pretty salty in the other chat room there for a guy who's up a game. Yeah. I know if I was up a game and the 4th best player of all time, like Kai is, I would be in a great mood.
Oh goodness. 4th best. That's your story.
I use OSIP's rankings and OSIP's official rankings. Kai's 4th, I believe.
Got it. Dare I ask who the top 3 are?
It doesn't even matter. I think it's John and Nassif, and I don't even know who 3rd is in these. This is it's just created to troll.
Annoy Kai.
It serves no other purpose. So
right. Steve came up with a Pyroblast off of his preordain. Kai's going to get a turn.
So what did Kai draw?
He drew a Ponder, but he can't. Wow, he could go suit. No, he can't cast it. There's just no way to cast it. I mean, his issue is like his Mox Opal isn't turned on right now.
Yeah,
if he stacks his Lotus for blue, it's that much harder to get the Mox Opal turned on.
You have to go Ponder preordain here. You cannot, unless you think this game is going so badly that you want to Pact of Negation your Time Twister or Windfall.
I guess
have
I
to do
could.
this.
So
and those are your choices, right? I mean, you only sack it for Time Twister
if you're desperate.
If you intend to Pact of Negation. I don't think it makes sense otherwise.
I'll buy that. So he finds a key, and I can't see what the other card is on the preordain. Key and a Mana Vault. Those are some good cards. Wow. Off to the races. Stacks the Mana Vault on top. Now he can Ponder and see, geez, Soul Ring, Voltaic Key, and I don't even know what the 3rd card is. Suddenly, he's got...
He's going to be able to make blue even.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's a Mox Jet is the 3rd card. So he's got 1 blue floating. He can use that for the Mana Vault. He can then play his choice of key or, well, whichever artifact he feels like drawing.
Do you think Steve will force a will Mana Vault? I think no.
I don't think so. It would be pretty good given the way Kai's draw has come together, but yes. So how does Kai sequence this? He wants to play Mana Vault, Mox Opal, and a 3rd artifact, and then he can tap the Opal for blue to go for either the Windfall or the Twister.
I mean, I think you have to play Mana Vault, Opal, tap the Mana Vault to cast.
It's your choice of key, Soul Ring, Jet. You want the key because it makes +1 mana?
think you want the key. I mean, the key is,
I think I agree.
yeah.
I think he drew the jet,
Hmm.
which is also +1 mana. They're kind of the same.
Yeah, the key gives you more instant wins with if you draw a Time Vault. But
Oh, he keeps a blue mana this way too, because he can tap the jet for the vault. So he actually gets 2 blue mana. Oh, can he play Tezzeret? Wow, I didn't see that line. Well played, Kai. By keeping the jet into the vault, he gets to keep the blue mana floating. He can tap the opal for the other blue. Now he can play Tezzeret.
yeah, I hadn't even thought about that because
That's great.
I feel like he has to assume his first spell is going to get countered, or he had a lot of different lines. So I was kind of like thinking about it in terms of which cards do I want to keep, assuming my first spell gets countered.
Well,
and
this
that's
way,
why. And that's why I like
the 3 threats this way. I like it.
Right, but if you keep the key, you can untap your mana vault later turns. Now he has just a lot.
He's still got it. It's on top of his deck. He's going to draw it next turn.
All right, that's true. I right. Sure, I was thinking
Shuffle off the ponder. He still gets to draw a key next turn.
You're absolutely right.
And in fact, Steve might be tempted here to. No, he can't let Tezzeret resolve. Pyroblast. I mean, hypothetically, Pyroblast would kill it if it got to his turn. But
well, he actually can let Tezzeret. So Tezzeret, there'd be 2 choices. He either
he's got the Ingot Chewer, so he can. If he thinks that Kai's going to get a Belcher, he can let Tezzeret resolve, and then assume that he'll be able to Ingot Chewer the Belcher on Steve's turn.
Right.
But I think, well, it's funny. Kai could get the Time Vault too, but then he'd be shuffling the key in, so he probably would just get a Belcher there.
If he got the time, well, from Steve's point of view,
yeah,
you can let him get Belcher and then use your Chewer. But you might just force will anyway so that you can use the Chewer on your main phase to kill mana.
Yeah, I don't think you want to let Tezzeret resolve. It looks
I
like
mean,
that is the conclusion Steve has come to. Now, if you're Kai, do you pact? You can't, right? Because he can't win on his upkeep. He can't activate a Belcher.
The only way you can you have no mana floating, right?
0 mana floating.
And you already used Black Lotus?
You already used your Black Lotus. I don't think you can pact this.
No, you would just...
You just die. Like, if he had 1 more mana in play, he could pact this and then win on his upkeep by activating Belcher. A risky line, because it loses to Ingot Chewer, so probably not recommended anyway. I think Kai just has to let this Force of Will resolve.
Yeah. Because he's just going to try to Time Twister the pack back up next turn, if he feels he has to. There's nothing to there's nothing to get with Tezzeret, right? If Lotus was still in his deck, then he could consider Time Twistering or something. I guess he could Time Twister. He could pact, untap the Opal and the Mana Vault, and Time Twister.
Oh my. That's clever.
Yeah. You don't have to search for an artifact. You could actually untap things.
You can untap blue in 3.
And then you have to assume that you will at least get the mana where you could pay for the pact on your next turn.
Right. That's got to be the thought process Kai's going through right now. This game's pretty ridiculous. It's still turn 1 too.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game.
Vintage is great.
I mean, this has been a great night. I mean, me and LSV, our match wasn't that interesting. The other matches have been.
Sure, it was. That game too. LSV got you in a Crucible strip mine a lot. That was insane. That's not supposed to happen out of LSVs. He's playing like some Delver deck.
Yeah, that's why you play 1 strip mine. Yeah, I seriously.
This was perhaps a little anticlimactic. The Cavern True Name Plan A got him, but
yeah,
it was still great.
I mean, that was the matchup, you know.
Yeah, no, that was Plan A for you. It's part of the reason to play. He's going to go for this.
He's probably saying Steve has so much artifact destruction in his deck. I have to go for this because he's thinking he could say go and then lose 2 of his artifacts.
He's also maybe hoping Steve was going to force a second time. It's probably the best thing that could happen for Kai would be for Menendian to pitch another force and another card. Now, Kai has no choice. He just dies on his upkeep if he doesn't untap Mana Vault and Mox Opal. Yeah. Untap Mana Vault, untap Mox Opal. Tezzeret's up to 5. Twist.
This is cool. This is a great game.
This is a great game. Kai going for the first turn kill. And Oh,
Oh,
he's
no.
still got 1 mana floating. He gets the Academy. He
He,
can play Expedition Map and Ruby. No, he's a mana short, isn't he?
he's a mana short. Is he actually can't pay for the pact, right?
He's dead. He's just dead.
Wow. Oh, man. What a bad draw.
Wow. Well, Kai killed somebody on the first turn.
He has 1 mana floating. Yeah, because he had 4 mana.
Yeah. He's a mana short of activating Expedition Map to get the Academy. And he has no blue mana. I mean, there are no decisions here, right? There's just
No,
nothing.
he can't do anything.
That pact was risky. I mean, I liked seeing it. I admire the fortitude of the play, but it was a little risky.
Yeah, but he's definitely, he saw Steve could untap and slam Stony Silence for all he knows, right?
Right. Absolutely. And he knows how much artifact removal Steve has. Like, there's another Ingot Chewer in his hand again.
Right. Yeah,
Wow.
especially because of the shattering sprees, right? That really increases the chance that he loses 2 artifacts on Steve's turn. So I think he kind of has to go for it. Like if Steve just goes shattering spree, kill 2 your mana, you're not recovering. So I think he actually had to do this. I think this was 100% correct.
Fair enough. I mean, sometimes the 100% correct play just doesn't work out.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like knowing that Steve has the 3, I think he has 3 shattering sprees, you're just really decent chance of losing 2 artifacts, and then you just don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
So is Kai here hoping that somehow packs don't work the way he thinks they work?
I mean, he could have not played the Tezzeret, right? If he's willing to pact to defend his first threat, wouldn't you rather pact
Time Twister
there? You're just up a mana. You're up a mana, right? He spent 5 to generate 4 by playing Tezzeret, and now he's 1 short of getting the Academy and paying for pact. Right? He spent 5 mana on Tezzeret and then used it to generate 4. I mean, he only took that line because Steve showed him a Force of Will, but if you're going to pact there, I think you're supposed to pact to defend a Twister, not a Tezzeret.
That is a very good point. What is the point of getting Tezzeret if all you're going to do is use it to Time Twister?
Yeah. Pact of Negation gets its first kill of VSL. We've had some people win from lose from some crazy ahead positions.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about this. Is that correct? That given that he was going to have to Twister, is there some reason to cast Tezzeret instead? And I guess you're right. I guess there just isn't. It even costs him a blue mana too, right? It's not just right. It's not just a he lost a mana. He
lost a blue mana.
Lost a blue mana because no, he got 1 blue back.
Right, yeah. He spent blue 3 to generate blue 3.
Right.
Anyway, it was a cool game, for sure.
It was a cool game.
Kai now goes to game 3. He will get to be on the play for game 3. So, probably double checking, making sure he understands Steve's deck list. And, wow. Yeah, big game here. Kai would love to get a 3rd win. Steve would love to get a 4th win and keep himself in playoff contention.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So
if Steve wins, he clinches not last.
Is that a Mishra's
Kai wins, I clinch top 4.
Is that a Mishra's Workshop? What is that in Kai's hand?
Good grief. He brought in the Workshop? He brought in Mishra's Workshop.
So he is so afraid of the artifact kill that he's trying to make
it lands to his deck. It's actually good in this draw, right? It lets him play turn 1 Belcher. He has no blue mana, but he has turn 1 Belcher.
And then he can activate it next turn with Grim Monolith?
Oh, no, he has to tap the Monolith to get to the...
No.
You're right. Yes, he can play Pearl, Workshop, Belcher. Next turn, tap Workshop for Monolith.
Yeah.
Which I guess is what he would do.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not... He's not guaranteed to one-shot him because he obviously has lands in his deck.
It's at least the Academy.
Right. Which makes it... Against a deck with a lot of artifact kill, that's a lot bigger issue, but
I mean, you keep it, right? Especially since he can play has a second Belcher. I mean, that draw's actually pretty good.
Steve's hand is not.
Huh.
Oh, he has the Lotus Petal, which actually makes this draw quite a bit better. As much as I'm not a fan of the Lotus Petal, like
now it's a turn 2 deck.
When you draw, yeah, right. With a draw like this, it is much better. Helps out the Treasure Cruise. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I wonder, like, I know when we were talking before, week 1, it is tempting to put more lands in this Belcher deck sometimes, because a lot of your draws, you're just like, I guess that's where the Spirit Guides come in.
Yeah. The Spirit Guides don't mess up the Belcher, though.
Yeah.
I like the
But
Spirit
a lot of the games, you would just Belcher them twice. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
A lot of games, you would just Belcher them, do 15, and then Belcher them again the next turn.
Right. Well, Kai has resolved to turn 1 Goblin Char Belcher. I know he's worried about all of the Shattering Sprees and Ingot Chewers, but he knows he's got the ability to do it again on turn 2.
Isn't this game over? Oh, Black Lotus.
Where was that? He top deck Black Lotus for Dak.
Oh! Did he really just draw that Lotus?
Yes. Off the top of the deck. Black Lotus for Dak, and Kai can't pact it because he can't pay.
Yeah, he had plenty of draws there because he had the Lotus Petal. He could have drawn Shattering Spree or Ingot Chewer. I mean, he had plenty of things he could have drawn.
Crazy.
But the Dak is pretty hilarious.
Black Lotus for Dak. Now, Kai's still in okay shape because he can play a new Char Belcher, and Dak does not have enough loyalty to steal 2 of them.
Right. This is another totally bizarre game.
Yes. But yeah, had Steve not come up with something to do with Char Belcher, he was going to die on Kai's turn.
Wow. This is a great match.
Instead of dying, Steve plays a Dak Faden, and it resolves because Kai can't afford to pay for his pack trigger. So yeah, Dak just has to steal. Well, now from Steve's perspective, he doesn't know how Kai's activating that. Is he thinking about taking the Pearl?
I was going to say that, but taking the Pearl is the greediest play. It's so greedy. It's just crazy.
Yes. I agree. You have to take the Belcher here.
If he takes the Pearl, that would be pretty amazing.
You know what Kai could draw to win the game next turn? Another Mishra's Workshop.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Suddenly he's got all the mana to play and activate, play the Belcher and the Monolith, activate with the Monolith.
Well, he could hit the Academy, but
yeah, Academy's also a good draw. Crypt is a good draw, but I mean, he's probably not winning next turn. Wow, Steve's thinking about what to take with Dak, I guess. I can't steal Pearl, can you?
Taking Pearl is so crazy. All right.
He takes Belcher.
I mean, you might as well think about it. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for thinking about it.
Sure.
There's no reason just to.
All right. So Steve top decked the Black Lotus to keep himself in this game. Now, Kai draws an Academy. That seems fair. Is it enough? Workshop and Pearl tap make Char Belcher. Kai wins, right?
Yes.
Kai just wins. No, Academy taps for 2 for Grim Monolith, which taps for 3.
The second Workshop, Steve will be able to Treasure Cruise, I believe.
No, Kai's going to kill him right now unless he hits a second Workshop. Oh, second Workshop, that's the only out Steve has?
I think so.
Kai certainly has enough mana to both cast and activate this Char Belcher. He's going to slow roll the Academy so that Steve doesn't know it's coming, and so that he gets max mana from his Char Belcher. Char Belcher you. Now we have to see. Let's spin it. Let's see what happens. That looks like the whole deck. Looks like only one Workshop came in. Yeah, every card in Kai's library. -33 for Steve Menendian. Kai Budde, bang. 2-1 victor.
That was pretty I mean, I'm very impressed with the Workshop there.
That was good.
Maybe maybe we've been underestimating these the extra lands in the sideboard.
Look, I'm a big fan of land in a lot of formats.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I never even considered bringing in Workshops in matchups where they're just killing all your artifacts, but
no, I hadn't either.
It does make sense.
It looked great there. He brought in 1, which I guess is the hedge. You don't want to hit it. You want to be able to combo out and still have a good shot of killing them.
Right.
I mean, even if you activate Belcher with 1 land in your library, you're still like 60% to win the game.
Right.
I mean, you're still favored to win it, and then usually, especially in a matchup like this one, you'll get a chance to activate it again.
And of course, you sometimes draw 2 maps. You can use the second map to get the thing out of your deck. I mean,
Yep. All right. Well, Steve Menendian is not going to repeat. He has been eliminated from top 4 contention. I have now clinched the top 4 spot without even having to play my match yet this week. Still would love to keep pace with you and Ty Luis for second or possibly even first, but I'll take it. I'm content to
top 4. So the top 4 is set, huh?
Top 4 is set. The order is totally up for grabs. Like
Right.
the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds could be in any permutation of the 4 of us, I believe. But yeah, top 4 is set. And the battle for last, though, Williams got to win to move up to 2 wins. Rich is still only on 3. Steve's only on 3. Kai has joined them at 3. Huge stakes for Tom Martell here. Is he tied with Williams for last, or is he tied in the scrum a game above him?
All right, yeah. Yeah, it's big.
That was a fun match. Thanks for hanging out, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. It's fun.
We're going to get Kai in here, actually. Luis can quiz him on his Belcher tech. That was a fun match, so I'm curious to hear what Kai has to say about it, but it'll be my match against Tom Martell. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.